Hello. Okay, Ahsoka. We finally got the first 2 episodes. I've been really looking forward to this show. Ahsoka is one of my favourite characters within the Star Wars universe. I'm a massive fan of her, and I just love what David Filoni has done with Star Wars in general, with the Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian. I just love how he's brought this character to life, and just sort of the richness with the character and the depth with the character it's why she is one of my favourite characters, and just sort of her history with other characters like Anakin Skywalker. It just adds this kind of real deep emotional layer to her story, to her journey. So yeah, really looking forward to this show. We finally watched the first 2 episodes yesterday. So first of all, I have to mention the score. It's one of my favourite aspects already of this show. Kevin Kiner, they need to use him more when it comes to Star Wars. His score within Ahsoka is just simply beautiful. How he combines old and new is just so natural and organic, and just gives me these kind of this nostalgic, vibe and feelings when it comes to his score. I think my favourite piece, I love his score throughout the first 2 episodes, but my favourite piece was probably the opening and sort of that opening scene. I just love that opening moment with the text and with the music accompanying it. It reminded me a lot of Blade Runner. So yeah. And one of my favourite scenes is that opening scene with Baylan, the former Jedi, and his apprentice, and just how they make their way through that Republic cruiser. I just really dug it. I really liked how it played out. Baylan, I'm really liking Baylan as this character. Through his performance, I feel like he adds a lot of depth, and he's not just this kind of like one note, oh, I'm a bad guy kind of character. There's something about this character, and it's how he portrays this character. He doesn't say an awful lot, and you don't really quite understand, what their motives are yet. But it's just through his performance in these first 2 episodes, you could just already see a lot of these different layers, and I really like that. And so he was one of the standouts for me. Ray Stevenson, who plays this character, was one of the standouts for me. But yeah, going back to that opening scene, for me it kind of mirrored a little bit the opening of The Phantom Menace, but it's the opposite of that scene. And there's a lot of those moments dotted throughout these first 2 episodes that do mirror certain moments within the prequels, and it's just beautifully done, and it just sort of ties into kind of what Star Wars is. I feel, George Lucas always said that Star Wars for him was like poetry, and it all rhymed, and Dave Filoni continues that with this show, and you could see that there's these moments that kind of mirror moments that happen in the prequels, and I just really dug that. Yeah, there's a lot of CGI in this show, really good CGI to be honest with you for a TV show, but there was a lot of practical effects as well that I fucking loved, because if you've been following me for a while now, I love my practical effects, and when it comes to like little things like the Loft Cat, it's an actual puppet in a lot of the moments, and I was just like so amazed by the fact that they used an actual puppet. Like, to me, I'm able to connect to things a lot more easily as a viewer. It's just, and it just helps ground this very fantastical show a little bit. So yeah, I love the use of practical effects dotted throughout the first 2 episodes. The volume stage that they film a lot of the show on, you can kind of in moments sense it, and sort of for me takes away a little bit from the scope, but it wasn't enough to really sort of take me out. But there are moments, just little moments here and there, that you can kind of sense that volume stage, but again, it's no major sort of thing for me. It's a minor gripe, and it didn't really take me out of the experience. When it comes to the casting, I think they've been pretty spot on. Rosario Dawson, I think, is simply beautiful as Ahsoka. I think she's perfect casting. And there's a lot of these moments where we just, the camera just focuses on these exchanges and these interactions between these different characters. And it allows us to sort of just really get to understand where these characters are at and what's going on with them inside, with their emotions. And just, it's great to just focus on these details, their expressions, their emotions. and it sort of just allows us as viewers to really get immersed into the moment and to where these characters are in their journeys. And I just like that. It's never too slow, it never gets boring, and I feel like we need it. And as a result, these first 2 episodes, they had this kind of slow burn to them. This kind of very kind of slow kind of build up to something. Like, we know there's a lot to come. And I just feel like the way in which these first 2 episodes are paced, I think is just really well done. It had this kind of very similar vibe to Andor, where it has this kind of slow burn to it, and I just really like that, because you've got that mystery and you've got that kind of suspense of knowing, something is coming. And with the case of Ahsoka, it's Thrawn. And it's just, I love that kind of mystery and suspense to it, and I feel like they really do a good job at achieving that with these first 2 episodes. And already with the first 2 episodes, there's this emotional kind of undertone to the story when it comes to different characters, Ahsoka's being the main. And there's this one moment where Anakin is briefly mentioned, and it's just through the performance and how the camera focuses on these cameras, you could feel that kind of emotional punch a little bit to the gut, and it is, you can already sense it. I feel, and this goes back to me and how I sort of feel with the character of Ahsoka and how she's been written. There's so much depth to this character, and already you can kind of sense that kind of really deep kind of emotional undertone without there being too much dialogue and with there being too much said, and a lot of it's just told through the performances. And like the Clone Wars, like Rebels, these shows, the way sort of Dave Filoni writes them, there's these like layers to the show, and it's like going back to what Star Wars is. It can be as deep as you want it to be, or it can be as shallow as you want it to be. I believe Mark Hamill said that once, and I completely agreed. And these shows are the same thing, there are, it sort of touches on politics a little bit, and sort of, what does happen to the people who did serve under the Empire? Very similar to Nazi Germany, and it kind of touches on those, like the animated shows, and, there's already this kind of depth to the show, to the story, that I really appreciated as well. All the casting hit the right notes. I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. I think she brings this character to life beautifully as well. I've got no issues with the casting, and I just really liked sort of the feeling, the vibe of the show. Is kind of like it has this kind of prequel vibe as well as the original trilogy, and just the way in which they both combine. It's just, along with the music, it just gives me this kind of fuzzy, warm, nostalgic feeling. But it's beautifully done, it feels natural, it feels organic. And the action is pretty well done. You've got the fight scenes, which are pretty cool. Again, when it goes back to minor gripes, like, the fight scenes are well done, they're well shot. Especially one of my favourites is the one with Ahsoka, who fights, I believe his name is Barrock. Apologies if that's incorrect, but the fight scene itself is cool, and it's fun, but it kind of it felt a little bit too choreographed, and just kind of almost like it was too choreographed, and it just didn't feel perhaps natural or organic enough. It almost felt like a dance, like a ballet. And I just wanted it to be a little bit more, maybe, just a little bit more natural and rough. And I just felt like there was a little bit of a lack of energy between, in these fight scenes. But that's kind of the same, that's sort of the same kind of negative I had when it came to the first season of both Rebels and the Clone Wars. I just felt like those, even in animated form, those action scenes and those fight scenes in those shows had the same issue. Like, they had a bit of a clunkiness when it came to the lightsaber duels and the action, and that really improved with the later seasons, and it's almost as if they just grew in confidence. So yeah, I kind of sensed that with the fight scenes in these first 2 episodes. They're well done, they're well shot, but it kind of, for me, they were just a little bit too staged, a little bit too choreographed. So yeah, some of the lightsaber sort of fight scenes, battles, and the action just kind of lacked a little bit of a kinetic energy, maybe. So there are a couple of very minor gripes from me, but overall, I really, really enjoyed these first 2 episodes. It felt like Star Wars, and it felt like something new as well, and it, like I said, there is so much going on every different, very different levels, and that's just down to the brilliance of Dave Filoni, and just like he gets Star Wars, and along with the composer Kevin Kiner, I just think they need to be using these two guys a hell of a lot more when it comes to Star Wars. So I'm looking forward to episode 3. I cannot wait. I will do the same thing for episode 3. I will release a quick kind of review. I did plan on this being a shorter video, but I've rambled on a bit too much already. But once the season's complete after episode 8, I will do like another sort of longer video of my thoughts of the entire season, and then review it as one season. Because I don't really want to give a grade or a score for every episode. For me, these TV shows, these seasons, they're telling a story, and the story's only complete after the final episode. I don't think it's really fair to slap a grade or a score on something that's not complete. So I think it's only fair for me to do like one final review after the season to just wrap it all up and just sort of give my general thoughts and feelings of the first season of Ahsoka as a whole. So yeah, enough rambling on from me. I really dug these first two episodes. What did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. Did you love them? Did you hate them? Did you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Please let me know. And if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see future reviews and just general movie talk from a geek in Wales, just ramble on like I have today, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. And yeah, my next film review will be for The Blackening. It is coming. I seen the film now for over a week ago. It's released here in the UK tomorrow, I believe. So yes, I have got a review for The Blackening coming. I'm catching Strays tomorrow, and I will have a review up for Strays over the weekend as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.